Thank you for joining this session. Got stress, get a plan. If I took a poll now, I'm sure that all of us would raise our hands or maybe both hands. So we're really grateful for Dr. Strand taking her time with us today. Dr. Strand is the founder and director of the Veterinary Social Work Program, which is an interdisciplinary One Health partnership between the Colleges of Vet Med and the College of Social Work here at the University of Tennessee. Dr. Strand has a long, lengthy bio. If you'd like to read more about her and her interests, please read her bio that's on the speakers tab. But today she's going to talk to all of us about creating a plan for our stress management. And I'm sure we're all past the denial phase. We just know we have stress. So now Dr. Strand's going to help us with that. So welcome, Dr. Strand.
Thank you, T, and thank you, Kate, and thank you, ACAT, for inviting me to come share some words with you all today about stress. And, you know, there's a chat going here. So T, if you wouldn't mind to monitor the chat, and please interrupt me if questions come in. I always think it's much better to have a dialogue instead of a monologue. So,
no problem.
So everybody just jump in as you see fit. So the goals for today will be to talk about how do you know you're stressed. We'll learn 3 skills to take care of your thoughts and emotions. So kind of up here. And then 3 skills to take care of your body. So what happens physically. And then 3 skills to take care of your behavior. We like to talk about behavior as things you do with your feet, your hands, and your mouth. That is behavior. Things that you say, that's behavior. Things that you do with your hands, places you walk, that's all behavior. If you'd like, you can have a pen and paper handy, although it's not necessary, but you might find it useful for the time that we're together. I'm not going to go through my bio, but I just want to share that I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and my mom was going through her training to become a psychoanalyst when I was a teenager. And so recently I got some feedback from a veterinarian who said, you know, maybe you don't have to talk so flowery. And I was like, oh yeah, I would. If I could try and stop that, I would. But I'm truly raised this way. I talk about feelings, and so didn't have a normal upbringing, to say the least. I also, my eldest brother became a Buddhist monk when I was very young. So he taught me to meditate when I was very, very young. And although both parents were Christian and went to seminary, we had this Buddhist in the family, and all of us meditated as a way of, not all of us, but my mom, my dad, not so much, but he does now at 93. But so that's the frame that I'm coming from with the information that I'm sharing with you. So those are the lenses that I grew up with. So how do you know you're stressed? Go ahead and put in chat, like, what are your signs and symptoms that you're stressed? How do you know? Tense jaw, good. And fist, good. Junk food binge, totally. Elevated heart rate, lack of sleep, perfect. I like lose things, irritable, good. I like can't find my keys. I walk into a room, I don't know why I'm there. Stomach burning, short tone, attitude with people, absolutely. Brain fog, yes. Yep. Short on patience, flushed headache, good. Very good. So the first thing to notice, you know, is how, you know, how your body, how your unique you manifests your stress. So mind racing, feeling unorganized, tummy troubles for sure. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. So there are some, you know, really key kind of across the board symptoms, emotionally, irritated, frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, feeling out of control, or the need to control everything, difficulty relaxing or quieting your mind, feeling bad about yourself, lonely, depressed. And then physical signs are low energy, headaches, upset stomach, aches and pains, chest pain, insomnia, a reduction in immunity. So can't fight off colds as much as you could, nervousness or shaking, dry mouth, are all ways in which physically we manifest our stress. And then cognitively, can't stop worrying, can't turn off this kind of cyclical thing going on up here. Racing thoughts, forgetfulness, disorganization, inability to focus. And then behaviorally, remember, with your feet, your hands, and your mouth, Changes in appetite, either eating too much or eating too little, procrastinating and avoiding responsibilities, increased use of alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and exhibiting more nervous behaviors such as nail biting and fidgeting. So we saw a lot of these in our chat together as signs and symptoms of stress. So it's really great just to get clear about that. Wow, I'm doing this behavior. Okay, I am having an unhealthy level of stress. And you have to really slow it down and have that conversation with yourself. Because if you don't have that conversation with yourself, then you're really not able to change and implement any of the types of tools that can help you with your stress. So the first step is, oh, okay, I've got it going on here. So we're going to talk now about the 3 things you can do to take care of your thoughts and emotions. Well, the first one, as I mentioned, is mindfulness. Poor us, right? Like our dogs, they definitely think, but probably not as much as we do, thankfully. We are like, and because we can imagine in a big, big way, we really are able to think about years and years and years from now. And we experience and imagine lots of horrific things that actually never happen. So mindfulness is the capacity to stay in the here and now and not go into the future so much or go into the past and reflect on what you should have said, what you should have done, regrets or grudges that we hold against people, that all is stemming in the past. So here and now, in the present moment, like our good animal friends. And the way we do that is the triangle of awareness, first tool. The triangle of awareness is noticing at any present moment time, what are your thoughts that are happening? What are your emotions that are happening? And what are your body sensations that are happening? And the fact of the matter is that all moments, every moment in all of your life, all 3 are happening. You may be not aware of them. Sometimes we're not aware of our emotions until they're really, really intense, really, really happy or really, really sad. Sometimes we're not aware of our body sensations unless something feels really, really good or really, really bad. Or we're not aware of this constant running thought process that's going on. So mindfulness is stepping back and noticing all 3 of these at the same time. We're going to watch a short little video here, and I just want to share my screen again with the proper settings to make sure that the video is sharing correctly with sound. Okay, watch for the triangle of awareness here.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. So I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribes for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So go ahead and chat if you would, if you've had the experience of trying mindfulness, but it doesn't work, or you can't do it. I tried it, but I can't do it. It's too hard, or I can't quiet my mind. If you identify with that, thumbs up or some kind of message. Or maybe you guys meditate a lot. Does anybody have a meditation practice? Just share what comes up. Oh. Can't quiet my mind. Yep, good. And here's the thing, is that you don't. That's the whole thing with mindfulness, is you don't quiet your mind. It's just that you watch your mind and you pay attention more than your mind to what your body's physical sensations are and what your emotions are. I try, but my mind just goes. Exactly, that's normal, Rhonda. Racing thoughts, very normal, totally normal. Now, I'm going to give you a more practical tool before we end today. And Alexis said I'll be able to share some slides with you and also some resources with you after the fact. Because sometimes I think when the pandemic hit, I've been practicing mindfulness my whole life. It just would not cut it for me. I mean, I had to learn something new. So I'm going to teach you that before we end today. Let's also jump in. We're talking about thoughts and emotions now. So mindfulness. Now the cognitive model. This is probably one of the most researched models that help with stress. And it's got good evidence for being effective. So something happens, could be anything, and then you have thoughts about what occurred. And then you have emotions based on that experience, and then you respond. So we have thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And we have some basic thought patterns. All of us have this. We have the tendency to magnify something or minimize it. So the sky is falling, you know, instead of I had a bad day, I can't stand this. It's never gonna be okay again. Yeah, that's chicken falling, blowing things out of proportion. To the right is mental filter. And this is when you only focus on your failures and not your successes. You can have like 15 things you knocked it out of the park on, but one person yelled at you or you got criticized by your boss on one thing, and you just cannot let go of that one thing. That's all you focus on, mental filter. It's just filtering out everything that's positive. Jumping to conclusions, this is mind reading or fortune telling. It's like I stub my toe and it's going to be a horrible day. Or the person doesn't smile at me that they normally would. Oh my gosh, they must hate me. Mind reading. All or nothing thinking is not being able to see the shades of gray. It's saying, if I didn't do it perfectly, then it just sucked. It was horrible all around. All or nothing thinking. Those are 4, then 4 more, or personalization. This is my fault. This is when you take on more responsibility for a problem than is yours. So a mistake happens and you immediately are like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't done that, none of this would have happened. Yeah. Usually you may have had some part of it, but usually a lot of other people had parts in it too. And so the secret sauce is figuring out what is just your part. Overgeneralizing is, you know, everything. Whenever we say always or never, you never take out the garbage. That's overgeneralizing, because likely in that person's entire life, they have taken out the garbage. And so when we think in overgeneralizations, it causes our emotions to get more ramped up. So if we're able to see shades of gray, not use always and never, we're able to regulate our emotions and help our emotions not get out of control. Should or must are really difficult, especially when we apply them to ourselves. Like, I should have been there on time. Yeah. The fact is that I wasn't. And so shoulding myself doesn't actually help me feel better. Like, what would help me feel better is, wow, I'm late. I regret that I'm late. What do I need to do next time to solve that? And I'm not have that problem. Yeah. And then emotional reasoning is when you feel like an idiot, thinking that you are an idiot, right? Just because we feel a certain way does not necessarily make it true. Yeah. So in the follow-up documents that I'll share with you, I'll share some more information about cognitive errors and things that you can do to try to help you notice when you're having them and talk yourself through them so that you can have more balanced thoughts and help yourself with emotions. The other one is in the cognitive model, you noticed emotions, like we have something happens, then we have thoughts, and then we have emotions. And so somebody cuts me off in traffic, I think, what a jerk. And then emotion is anger, for instance. So emotional literacy is something most of us are not taught. I think little kids are taught it now, but likely if you're my age, somewhere around my age, Gen Xing, maybe even lower, younger, they didn't talk to us. I got it because I was raised by this psychoanalyst, but most people didn't get it, like to name how you feel. Emotional literacy is the ability to name how you feel in 3 words. Usually if I ask somebody, how do you feel about that? They think they tell me, I can't believe if he does that one more time, I'm going to just scream. I think my head is going to come off. I mean, he did it to me 1,000 times, like no feeling. How do you feel? I'm really angry. Yeah, that's emotional literacy. And the minute you can name an emotion, it's so funny. Emotions can become overwhelming in the right side of the brain. And then when we name the emotion, when we say, oh, we feel angry, the left side of the brain starts to calm the emotions down. Yeah, they name it to tame it. I feel really angry. Now I have a word for what's going on, all the physical sensations that I'm having, all of the images or memories I'm having. When I name it as anger, I start the process of calming it down. Yeah. And most of us aren't trained how to do that. And so there are things called feeling wheels. I think every shelter should have a feeling wheel. Every household should have a feeling wheel. I'm shoulding, sorry. It would be a good idea for all shelters and all houses to have feeling wheels. When we notice we're stressed, if we can get very granular about the emotions that are actually contributing to the stress, we're able to regulate it better. We can manage it better. Okay. So we've had the triangle of awareness, we've had the cognitive model, and we've had emotional literacy are the things up here to do. Let's move to the body. So the first one is to ground yourself. So one of the great grounding yourself tools is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can see it to the right. You do 5 things you can see. So just look around your spot right now and identify 5 things that you can see. Okay. Now, 4 things you can touch. So touch 4 things. Now, 3 things you can hear. Two things you can smell. This one is always a little challenging. And then 1 thing you can taste. Usually it's whatever's in your mouth. So, although you might practice, sipping a cup of tea or whatever, if you're having a coffee or a Coke or something, really be present and feel the sensation of the beverage in your mouth or what you're eating. So that's grounding. When your mind is outside of your body and you're thinking about a million different things and you can't stop your mind, do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to ground yourself in the here and now. Yeah. The next one is tense and release. Okay, 1, 2, 3, ready? Go ahead and tense everything you can. Tense your toes, tense your hips, tense your legs, tense your face, tense your chest, tense. Now release. And notice that sensation of releasing. Feeling that letting go. Okay, so we're going to do it one more time. This time, don't look at the camera because I was just acting foolish so that you would know it's okay to just really tense and act foolish. Nobody sees you. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Tense. Everything you can possibly tense. Get your internal organs, your stomach, your liver, your lungs, your heart, everything, your shoulder tense. Now release. Feel your breath change. If you are from the north, and most of us are not, we're from the south, but if you're from the north, maybe you grew up in the north, you know that when you're in a snowstorm and you're starting to skid, you don't turn away from the skid, you turn into the skid. And that's what I like to think about tense and release. If you're really, really stressed out, you might as well just go straight into it and really tense your body up. turn into the skid, and then you can let go and start to help yourself feel what relaxation actually feels like. Yeah, it's to show you what the sensory experience of relaxation is. This is a great one. You can do it in the bathroom, nobody knows. You can do it in the car, you can go outside. It's really helpful too, because sometimes we're really angry, and doing all that can make us manage that feeling of anger. Yeah. Okay. The last one is coherent breathing. So this was the secret sauce that got me through the pandemic. Coherent breathing, anchoring. So all of these activities, I'll come back to coherent breathing, but all of these activities are called anchor, dropping anchor, ways of bringing yourself into the here and now. Because we know from so much research from since the late 1970s that being in the present moment, anchoring yourself in the here and now is very helpful for managing stress. So coherent breathing is basically a pace of breathing that I learned it from my two teachers, Richard Brown and Patricia Gerbarg. And they have a program called Breath, Body, Mind. And I'll follow up when I send the slides. I'll have a sheet with some links in case somebody would want to get trained in Breath, Body, Mind. What I love about Breath, Body, Mind is that it's very easy to learn, and it doesn't, you have to get trained, which costs something, but it's something you can share widely from a public health perspective. There's no like extra apps or anything you've got to use. You can really just learn how to do it. It's very accessible. So it's basically a gentle breath in and out through the nose, gently in and out at 3 to 6 breaths per minute. Most of us are about 5.5 breaths per minute without any force or pressure, and it creates a calm, alert mental state. What it does is optimizes heart rate variability. So if you have like a watch, if you've got like a iWatch or any kind of Fitbit or something like that, most of them now have some type of a breathing flower or something on it. That's coherent breathing. And the prescription that my teachers taught me was that if you're experiencing depression or anxiety, doing 20 minutes twice a day can have a significant impact and improvement in your stress and anxiety. If you're experiencing symptomatology of post-traumatic stress, so any kind of traumatic stress, which sometimes many of us experience in working in animal-related settings, and certainly there's, as you know, quite a bit of research in the animal sheltering environment that this type of traumatic stress is a part of loving animals and caring for animals the way that you all do. And so 3 months, 20 minutes twice a day. And then once you've done that, 20 minutes twice a day, then you can do it like once a day, 5 days a week, and sort of keep your heart rate variability at a healthy level. So it's all about the vagus nerve. So it regulates, of course, the vagus nerve regulates your organs and your glands. It's also about social engagement. So when we're when our vagal tone is in a safe state, we feel engaged with people. We want to smile and engage and talk and chat with people. And then the more stressed we get, the more unsafe we get. We have a lot of empathy and love when we have a high heart rate variability. And we have, two forms of the autonomic nervous system: the sympathetic, which helps us get safe. It's fight or flight, right? And then, so think about the fractious cat in the back of the cage. That's like a serious fight, autonomic nervous system response. And then PNS is relax, heal, bond. So when we're stressed out, of course, our SNS is more in charge. Our PNS is not in charge. And so with coherent breathing, we balance them out. The thing that happens a lot with medications that we might take for stress is that it might dampen the SNS, but it doesn't really do anything to raise the PNS. And you want to naturally be able to help your PNS, your capacity to calm and heal and bond and love, to rise up. And so that coherent breathing really helps with that. Interestingly, about 20% of information goes from the head down. Yeah, but most information that tells your brain what kind of chemicals to release comes from the bottom up, and it comes all the way through the vagus nerve. Yeah, so that's why when we do coherent breathing, we are directly interacting with the vagus nerve to give the body the perspective that everything's cool. In fact, I can have a difficult interaction with somebody or a difficult meeting, And I think that it's horrible. Like I've got the chicken falling and the black and white thinking and the catastrophizing and the mental filter all going on at the same time. And if I do 20 minutes of coherent breathing, I have a totally different perspective of what happened. I'm able to see shades of gray. I'm able to be more patient. I'm able to take their perspective, even if I don't agree with it. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. 3 states. So we have a safe state. So this is when, like when I'm doing that 20 minutes of coherent breathing, I'm helping myself get to a state of safety so that I feel like more bonded to people. I feel more engaged with other people. My heart rate variability is really high. My defensiveness is low. My social engagement is higher. I have more capacity for cooperation, empathy. Now, when I start getting more stress, I go into danger. So that's like more fight or flight. My emotions get more dysregulated. So fight or flight, approach, avoid is what that means. And then live threat is freeze, disconnect, dissociate, or numb out. And, people can have experiences of feeling like they're not in their body. Like everything looks, I know that I'm, in my house, but it looks like a movie. Yeah. Those are normal signs of anxiety. People can feel disconnected from their body. Those are normal signs of anxiety. And you can see that those are mostly associated with a feeling of life threat. And, although cognitively you might know that the person standing across from you who disagrees with you is not going to actually harm you, but you may have a need to be liked. And so it does feel like life threat because they don't agree with you. So your nervous system doesn't know. Your mind might know, but your nervous system is behaving as if it's life threat. Yeah. And it's everyone, like it's not a weakness. This is just human. This is what we all have going on. And we share with other mammals, as you probably well know. So top left is at 5 breaths per minute, you can see the heart rate variability, long, slow, undulating, right? Bottom right, 30 breaths per minute. I can't believe, rumination, cyclical thinking, can't stop, jagged. And the top left is associated with feelings of forgiveness and love and kindness and patience. And the bottom right is associated with feelings of anger, frustration, regret, sadness, resentment, holding grudges, that sort of thing. And no matter what your emotions are, you can change what your nervous system is doing just by 5.5 breaths per minute. It's really quite amazing. So what I will share with you in the document that I follow up with will be a set of bells that you can download. And then I'll also share, I said, it's free, and it is. You can just get the bells for free. And if you also, and I'll share a couple of links to YouTube, you can find coherent breathing bells that pace your breath at 5.5 breaths per minute on YouTube for free. But there's also all of these apps now. And even if you don't like coherent breathing, I just would say to you, if you want to manage stress and you're not involving some form of a breath practice, then you're not really managing stress, because the most effective way to change how you're dealing with stress is to work with your breath, because the breath is so directly involved with the vagus nerve, which is 100% connected to your stress response. So you have to incorporate some form of breathing. Okay, so we've talked about here, we've talked about your thoughts. Yeah, we talked about the present moment, staying the here and now. Now we're going to talk about your behaviors. So clarify your core values. Take action in service of your values. Balance the afterburn versus the afterglow. Seek help and do the well-being debrief. Okay, so clarify your core values. You can complete a free online core values assessment and then anonymously enter your core values. Actually, we won't do that bit, but can you take a moment and tell me in chat, what are some of your core values? So for instance, one of mine is transparency. Another one is family, actually faith. What are some of y'all's values? Loyalty, good, keep them coming. Loyalty is a good one. Honesty, good. Truth, honesty, openness, respect, honesty. A lot of honesty, y'all, friends. That's good. Freedom, keep them coming. Integrity, strong work ethic, grit, integrity, love, helping others, respect, dependability, serving, service. That's good. Any others? Team building. Giving credit. I call it carrying a good tale. I always like to carry a good tale. Desire for learning and unlearning too. Good. That's great. Be the change. Good. Okay. So in my follow-up, there will be a free core values assessment that you can do. But the research is really clear that when you think about it this way, so let's say that I'm having to take the garbage out, and I am not able to, and I hate taking the garbage out. So I'm taking the garbage out and I'm just complaining in my head. I hate taking the garbage. Nobody ever takes the garbage out. Why do I always have to take the garbage out? This is so gross. And they didn't even empty the, complaining. But if I connect that behavior with one of my core values that I really admire, that I really value is a better word. Then, it's, I'm taking this garbage out. I still hate it, but I'm doing it because I value peace with my roommate, for instance. So I'm doing it for my roommate because my roommate needs my help. And I have a value about peace and serving others. So as I'm carrying the garbage out, I'm connecting with what is it in me that is driving, that I value inside of myself, who I want to be in the world. Then I'm able to do that activity with less stress inside. So that's an example of taking action in service of your values. So not only do you want to know what your core values are, but you also want to act them out every day. And here's a nice little research study where they took some students and they had some students write about some of their personal values. So maybe they had a value about family. And so they took about 10 minutes to write about a time when they were helping their grandmother clean out her closet because her grandfather had died. And so she wrote about it. The student would write about that and then face a panel of 5, 10 mean looking professors asking the person to count backwards in intervals of 13 from 100 quickly. And then all of that panel of people are like making mean faces. And then the other group, so that's one group, wrote about times that they were living out their values, like that one, that girl living out her value of family by caring for her grandmother. And the other group just read a magazine. And you can see that the value affirmation group at baseline, they had the same level of salivary cortisol, but 20 minutes after the task, the value affirmation group had quite a bit less cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And so spending some time writing about your values, and not only why they're important to you, but examples of how you have enacted them, what you've done with your feet, your hands, and your mouth. That's behavior. What you have done with your feet in your hands, in your mouth to live out that value seems to protect you when you're having to deal with something that's very stressful. So that means if you are going into work and you're going to have to do something that's really stressful at work, spending time in your car writing about doesn't have to have anything to do with what it is that you're getting ready to have to face at work. In fact, it can be something completely in your personal life, just something that you like about yourself, something that you did that you feel good about, write about it. It seems to protect you in stress. So here's an example. Identify, your top character traits or the things that you value, and then write about why this strength is meaningful and important in your life. And again, you do this before stressors. Okay, so I'm going to pause. This is a funny little thing, but I'm going to pause, and I'd like you to chat. What are 3 things you're taking away from the talk so far? What are 3 things that you remember so far? This is just a knowledge check because I always give a lot of information and sometimes it's too much. So we stop for a minute and give our brains a rest. And you can stretch a little bit. So breathing, good. A reminder to be present in the moment, name it to tame it, good. Breathing, good. You can't think a feeling, exactly, Sarah, rock on. The importance of breathing, name our feelings, exactly. Okay, I'm a little bit annoying, I need more. More, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. How to come back to the moment, yes. The triangle of awareness. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Thoughts, emotions, and body, good. Checking in with the self, yes. Mindfulness, good. Bring on some more. Name the feeling, not what happened. Yeah, that's so good, yeah. Breath, body, mind, yes, Constance. I would encourage people to go and get that training. It's okay to feel what we feel. Yes, it is. Absolutely okay. Various ways our minds work, magnifying, filtering, etc. Thoughts aren't always the truth. Yes. Thoughts are not always the truth. Yes. You are not what you think. Yeah. Eliminate must and should. Yeah, exactly. Good one. Various ways our minds work, magnifying, filtering, good. Reminder about the importance of oxygen to the body. Very good. Tense and release. Yes. Shooting all over the place over here. Yeah, that's right. Would you stop shooting yourself, please? Yes, that's really good. Okay, guys, how our bodies can change our mindset. Yep, in as little as, it's so funny. It's in as little as like 7 minutes or even 3 minutes, you can change what your nervous system is doing by just voluntary regulating your breath, because the breath listens to the brain listens to the breath. If you stubbed your toe and you were choking, your brain would prioritize the choking because that is so central to your breathing. Yeah. So the brain really pays attention to the breath. And it's so funny. One of the things that happens when you turn on your PNS, your parasympathetic nervous system, one of the things that can happen for some people is saliva, because you're getting ready to eat, right? It's like rest, digest. And so I know that I'm really starting to change my nervous system because I'll get a lot of saliva in my mouth and I'm like, okay, yes, oh, here we are. Finally, I have helped myself become human again. Yeah, very good. Okay, thanks guys. So we have a little bit more to share. This is a concept called afterglow versus afterburn. So sometimes people are like, oh, oh, Dr. Strand, you're probably, always mindful, meditating, da, da, da. And what I would want to let you know is that I am a friend of huge boxes of cookies at times, too much wine occasionally. So all of us have stress management activities that create an afterglow and an afterburn. They're all stress management. It's like when I'm driving home, it's like a choice point. I can like turn left and go to the store and get a bunch of, I like Quest bars. I can go to the left because I've had a hard day. I can go to the left and get a bunch of Quest bars and eat way too much of them and get myself a bellyache. Or I can turn right and go home and get on the treadmill. So one of them creates an afterburn and the other one creates an afterglow, but they're both designed to manage stress. And it's not about eradicating all afterburns, but it's about having a balance. Yeah. If you only use afterburn tools, like I also love Amazon.com, click, click, click. If you only use that to manage your stress, then you create more problems for yourself and for those around you. So, but if you're only doing afterglow, nobody likes you either because you're like too perfect, right? Silliness. It's just not human. So explore for yourself, what are some of your afterburn and what are some of your afterglow activities, and set a goal that you would have a balance between them each week. And then, what can you do as an individual for your own stress? So this is from the Merck Animal Health Well-Being Study. And it's really clear. We measured two things. One was psychological distress and well-being. And those folks that did not have a stress management plan, like a plan written, those that did not have a plan had way more psychological distress and way less well-being than those that had a plan. And some of the things that were on the plan were things like spending time with family, hiking, sports, exercise, socializing with friends, spending a time on a hobby, sleeping at least 8 hours, reading for pleasure, volunteering, meditating, and yoga. So we can think about it as enrichment for ourselves. We have to have an enriched environment ourselves with these behaviors that we do to help our brains be healthy and our bodies be healthy. So we're going to take 2 minutes, and I'm surprising you. Oh no, we can do it. So we're going to take 2 minutes, and I'd like you to write down. Now, maybe you don't have a pen and paper. Maybe you're just going to type it in your computer. Maybe you're just going to type it in your phone. But I'd like you to write down 10 stress management behaviors, and let's choose afterglow ones. So we're going to choose afterglow stress management behaviors that you can turn to in your stress management plan. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, start going. I'm timing you. One more minute. Okay, well done, everybody. So now please look at your list and put a star next to 2 or 3 of them that you can use when you're really stressed, because we have normal everyday stress, and then we have the full catastrophe stress. These are the kind of days where you feel like the ground fell out from underneath you and you don't even know what end is up. This is when you sometimes need to lie on the couch with your dogs on top of you and just not move for an hour. So what are the ones that you would really go for when you're having that kind of a day? Just a knockdown, drag out catastrophe day. Okay, so now you have your stress management plan, and I would encourage you to revisit your stress management plan every month to see if you need to change it. What have you not used at all in your stress management plan? It's like in the closet. If you haven't worn it, I could take this advice, but if you haven't worn it, you're supposed to get rid of it. So the same thing on your stress management plan. If you haven't used that tool, it's not your right tool. And make sure you work on getting your tools up and running the way that will work for you. And you guys shared some of your wonderful things on chat, which is wonderful. Good job, everyone. But you also need to have one written for yourself, not just here in chat. And then you have to know how to get help, and you do need to get help. There are times we absolutely need a checkup from the neck up. It's just like an oil change. You wouldn't keep driving your car without changing the oil. Our minds are the same way. And it's sometimes really helpful to talk to somebody who is not your family and friends, doesn't need to make you feel good, is going to tell you the truth and give you tools and to deal with everything going on up here. This is another finding from the Merck Animal Health Well-Being Study that I was really happy about. And I think that as a culture, we are making improvement. In 2017, you can see veterinarians, only 24% of veterinarians thought that people were caring towards those with mental illness. And in 2019, that went up to 57%. So quite a bit better. So no biggie. It's a healthy, normal thing. Go get a checkup from the neck up. And then the last I want to leave you with is the well-being debrief. I think this can be done in groups. It can be done individually. The first question is, what is keeping me up at night, or what can I not stop thinking about from today or this week? What did I do well in that situation? So notice we go straight for what we did well to avoid mental filter. Then, what do I wish I had done differently in that situation? Because we're all a work in progress. That's part of grit, is being a work in progress and always growing, always improving. And what did I learn in this situation? What do I feel grateful for in this situation, or just generally? And then, was there anything humorous that occurred during the management of that situation? So these last two are diagnostic. I would say over a month, if you get to these last two and you're never able to feel grateful for anything or find anything funny, then it's really time to get a checkup from the neck up. Yeah, because everyone deserves to have gratitude in their heart and to find things funny. That's part of your right as a human being, to have those two things. And so this is a form of peer support and doing checkup from the neck up. So you've learned these 3 skills for taking care of your thoughts and emotions, these 3 skills for caring for your body, and these 5 skills for taking care of your behavior. Remember to put your own mask on first. And it is the end of my time with you. And thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Strand. We have a couple minutes left. Anyone have a quick question they would like to ask?
Oh yeah, great.
Just lots of thank yous, Dr. Strand. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's do one thing before we end, because I didn't realize I have 1 more minute. I'm going to use every last bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, I am 100% confident I can implement some stress management activity, some new stress management activity for myself. And 1 is no way, there's no way I can do it. Where would you rate yourself? Put it in the chat. 8, good, rock on, Laura. 7, 7, 7, 10, 10, 8, good. Keep them coming, 8. Good. And then write down, what are some of the ones that you might try? What is a new stress management activity from this talk that you might check out or try? Breathing, yeah. Countdown, good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah. Rock on, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and really people like that a lot. Put the phone in airplane mode and breathe, yeah. Coherent breathing, centering myself. Good job, everyone. Name it to tame it. Yeah. Can you imagine in the shelter environment, or in in all of these environments, if you guys could help each other, name entertainment, man. Yeah. Thanks, T.
Thank you so much, Dr. Strand. I think everybody really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for spending your time with us to help us improve ourselves.
Such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, everyone. We'll see you at the next session. Have a great few minutes. See you then. Thanks, Dr. Strand.